I can only share with you that Hanover Township has a long tradition of what we call inclusive housing. We do not have a policy of what's called building just dedicated low and affordable housing. What we've done throughout the township for the past 25 years is we've tried to construct an environment so that we would call it, you'd have mixed use. You'd have market rate with affordable. Since this practice has put into place, we have never had negative circumstances that would be reported to us from required additional services from enforcement, or have been expressed to me at least in terms of an impact in terms of property values. So I don't know, I can't share with you a situation that I could say, yes, we had a situation where this actually took place and the impact of it was a negative. So we don't have that basis here. That's good news.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know exactly where it is, if you're looking at the very pretty, I think it's going to be a child care center,
Mm-hmm.
look to the left of that. There's a water retention basin. That's exactly
Right, it's right next to the power line strip. Right. Yeah, to me, it just
pretty-
doesn't seem like there's enough room to put in
Doesn't to
that
me
many
either.
units.
That's why they said shoehorning it.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments at this time?
How you doing? Rocco Marucci from, I'm on Brook Hollow Drive, I was in the same complex. My concern is actually also going to be about parking. It's pretty tight as it is as with our complex, and like she said, our clubhouse and parking lot is right next door to that. I have concerns about parking because on the weekends as it is, people have visitors. It's tight in there, I think parking is going to be an issue, and I think it's cramming it in there. It really is.
I can only say that I've seen a preliminary plan, and they have to provide parking as required by both our zoning and state regulations. What the plan that I've seen provides significantly more parking than the minimum required by our regulations.
Okay.
I think it provides, the project that you live in, I think, met the minimum, but it didn't have a significant excess, whereas this does. So.
Yeah, I mean, typically we have enough parking, but I mean, you have visitors over, it gets tight, and then you get the ball fields going, you have, people in town going to see games, it just gets really tight.
One of the things with the mixed-use project that helps in the way of parking is that the daycare center that's there will typically be closed when the peak parking demand for the apartments or condos, if they become condos, is there. In other words, the child care center will be used during the day, Monday to Friday, when people are at work. When they're home at night or on the weekends, the daycare will be closed, so the parking can be shared between the two uses. So the same parking space will be used during the day by the child care center. At night, it'll be used by the residency. So there's, in addition to meeting the standards, they'll actually be able to get extra use out of those shared parking spaces.
But the apartments will have their own parking spaces, correct?
Well, there will be, I don't know, we haven't seen the plan as to how the spaces will be allocated, or if there will be, I believe there will be some reserved spaces for the child care center, and there will probably be some reserved spaces for the residents, but I believe there will be some spaces that will be used by both as overflow or overlapping.
From my understanding, Blaze, it's all part of shared use. That's why they were going to make the parking lot bigger. I wasn't aware that there was going to be designated spaces for the housing unit that's going to be in there.
They meet the standards for parking as if each had their own spaces and there were no sharing. At least in the preliminary plan I've seen, this will have to be approved by the planning board. But what I'm saying is that even if they didn't share, they would have far more parking than what is required. What I'm saying is that it's even better than that, though, because I believe, again, this will be confirmed when it gets to the board, there's also, in addition to meeting the standards as if they didn't share, they also share. So I think there shouldn't be a parking problem. But again, that can be confirmed at the time of the planning board site plan.
Additionally, I share your concern. It's a good concern. It's a good question that you're raising.
Yeah.
And given the question, I'd encourage you, the planning board will meet and discuss what they call during a site plan review, where actually the plans will be brought in here and presented to the entire planning board, and the planning board will evaluate the issue that you're speaking to now to make sure that there is adequate parking, because we do not want to create situations of having conflict in terms of parking.
Yeah.
This, wherever in the township, when anything's built, we're very careful, very conservative in terms of making certain that there is proper parking allocated to it. I'd encourage you, if you have the time, to come out to the planning board meeting. I believe it'll be on March 23rd on the agenda, where this will be discussed.
Thank you.
This is to be a done deal, but tonight, if this ordinance is approved, it's done.
Yeah.
Goes to the planning board, they will review it beyond that. My other concern I have also is, this same developer has these units. If the developer changes for the office building, does it impact the parking for those units? And if that does happen, where do they go? I have a lot of questions in this thing. I have a lot of issues with it, and that's why I just don't think shoehorning a 200-foot building into that little space is really going to be appropriate for
No,
what
and I,
Hanover Township is trying to do. And again, spot zoning, just
I
throwing
I
something
agree.
in.
I agree. It's cramming them in there. You have power lines there. I don't see the room for it either, but I guess that's why I'm here.
What does the units, what are the requirements for parking in a unit? If you have a one-bedroom or two-bedroom?
I think a two-bedroom
Parking
unit,
space.
the requirement is 2
1.9.
spaces. A one-bedroom, I think, is either 1.2 or 1.6 per unit.
Oh, because
For
I
one
thought that the last time I had asked it was for some of the units, it wasn't even one vehicle. So,
Yeah. And the reason why I also raise this concern is because a lot of people park in the street in our complex, and the roads are tighter. You know, especially on the weekends. You know, I understand there's sales going on, but you're weaving in and out of cars left and right. It's tight, you know, and that's why I have more concerns of pushing this further. So,
well, you're going to also have children across the street playing at the ball field.
and the
or ball
pool
field,
and
or-
recreation,
yeah,
and that's another
recreation.
thing
So
is.
right across from there, if you have cars parked all over the road, you're going to have a problem.
And we have our recreation, we pay for our recreation. Will they be using our stuff also? I mean, I don't think they would be allowed to, but,
No, they can use it.
you know, who's to stop it? So,
They're allowed, they're township residents. But,
well, I mean, our clubhouse.
oh,
Our clubhouse,
oh,
our
no,
clubhouse,
they would
which
not
is
be
right
allowed to
there,
use that.
which isn't built yet, obviously. Our clubhouse will be built next summer. I've been there 2 years now. I'm in the first building that's ever been up. You know, this past year's been great. They've been finally putting buildings up. I just want them to get done. You know, and that's the last thing is our clubhouse, and that's the thing is our concerns are they're going to have access to our stuff, and, you know.
You're going to have to be
And we
careful
pay
that their
for all that,
overflow
so-
parking doesn't overflow into our
Exactly.
ball field parking.
Exactly, and that too. So I think there's a lot to look at. I think there's a lot going on there. You got ball fields, you got, you know, multi-use residential, you have a complex that's been built for 2 years that's supposed to be a daycare center. I haven't seen it, you know, anything going on there. It's there's a lot of concerns going on, and I think we should look at it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.